Imagine a country willing to sacrifice countless soldiers and equipment just to grind down its opponent, a brutal war of attrition.
Yet, beneath this relentless grind, one nation has quietly gained a significant edge: advanced missile technology. For years, one side had a crucial advantage, ballistic missiles, while the other lacked them.
That gap is closing, faster than anyone expected.
Recently, a groundbreaking development has shocked the world. Ukraine has unveiled its first ballistic missile, one they've named the Sapsan. Official statements confirmed its flight, and whispers of its use are growing louder.
This isn't just another weapon in Ukraine's arsenal, it's a game-changer.
It can strike deeper, hit harder, and strike with surgical precision, disrupting the balance of power unexpectedly. President Zelensky's own words confirmed the missile's existence during a public speech. He casually mentioned that Ukraine has not only completed development but has actively been using the Sapsan in strikes against Russian targets.
Surprising, considering no one knew it was operational, no official announcements beforehand. As Zelensky listed Ukraine's long-range drones and missile systems, the Sapsan was added to the roster, but with a deliberate ambiguity. Why reveal so little? Because precision intelligence on enemy capabilities can be the difference between victory and defeat. The strategic reasoning is clear. Ukraine wants to keep Russia uncertain. If Moscow believes the Sapsan is just fiction or just another cruise missile, they'll be less prepared. Ukraine's leadership is intentionally feeding misinformation, hinting that recent strikes might have been carried out with their older, more known weapons.
Letting Russia misattribute the source keeps its defenses stretched thin, guessing where next the missile could strike. It's a game of shadows, manipulation, and strategic deception, taking advantage of the chaos of war.
Behind the scenes, experts analyze Ukraine's moves.
They note that the Russian military has already suffered the loss of over 1,000 anti-aircraft systems since the invasion began, evidence of a weakening shield. Ukraine's new missile could exploit this gap, launch strikes from unseen angles, and overwhelm defenses. All this while Russia remains blind to where the next blow might land.
But what is the true power of the Sapsan? Its design is shrouded in secrecy, yet initial reports reveal its specifications.
It carries a 480-kilogram warhead powerful enough to devastate large military or strategic targets. Its range is estimated at around 300 kilometers, with rumors saying up to 500 kilometers in extended configurations. That's a territory vast enough to threaten key Russian regions without reaching Moscow itself, yet close enough to strike deep into Russian-held zones.
This missile's capacity raises an ominous question: could Ukraine use it to target critical Russian infrastructure? Or is this a deception, an illusion to intimidate, while actual use remains limited? The truth remains elusive.
Officially, Ukraine's leadership claims operational deployment, but concrete evidence is scarce.
No wreckage or confirmed strikes have been publicly reported. Russian sources have claimed to shoot down similar projectiles, but details remain murky and tentative. The real intrigue is Ukraine's strategy. By revealing selective details like the missile's presence but withholding any operational specifics, Zelensky is masterfully creating uncertainty.
They've learned painful lessons from past conflicts. Revealing too much allowed Russia's defenses to adapt. Now, Ukraine plays the shadows, feeding misinformation, and keeping its true capabilities one step ahead.
What's next? Russia faces a sinister question: how to counter a missile they barely understand and can't locate.
Meanwhile, Ukraine holds its nerve, advancing secretly, waiting for the perfect moment. The Sapsan could strike from unseen angles, disrupt Russian defenses, and shift the war in unpredictable directions. One thing is certain: the battlefield has changed forever. When a small nation unveils a missile of such potential, it signals a new era, where deception, technology, and strategy merge into a formidable force.
The storm is coming, and the world is watching closely. Will this newfound power tip the scales of a brutal conflict? Only time will tell.
In the shadows of a relentless war, Ukraine unveiled its new ballistic missile, the Sapsan, turning the tide with stealth and deception.
Yet doubts linger: is this weapon real, or just a clever ruse? Can Russia defend against this invisible threat?
Imagine the deafening roar of rockets piercing the night, the acrid smell of scorched earth, and the cold sweat of commanders unaware of the coming storm. As Russia's defenses crumble, with over 1,253 anti-aircraft units lost since the invasion began, Ukraine exploits every weakness.
But is Zelensky's tantalizing secret, the Sapsan, already striking fear into Putin's heart, or is it a masterful bluff?
Buckle up, because this isn't just warfare, it's psychological warfare, and the fallout could shatter empires. Ukraine learned a brutal lesson in 2023, when leaked plans for their counteroffensive let Russia fortify defenses, turning potential victories into costly failures. Zelensky vowed secrecy for the Sapsan, hinting that strikes blamed on known weapons like the Neptune keep enemies guessing.
Can you feel the tension, the icy grip of uncertainty clutching commanders' throats? What if that strategy crumples Russia's resolve, exposing vulnerabilities whiter than the gaping craters left by unseen blasts? The fog of war thickens, soldiers' boots crunching through mist-shrouded plains, as Ukraine whispers its lethal surprise. Russia's air defenses, already strained to their limits, now face a predator they've never seen. Will it strike Moscow itself, or vanish like smoke?
The Royal United Services Institute illuminated Ukraine's 2023 missteps in a scathing 2024 report, pinpointing lax security that doomed their hopes. Assault plans were broadcast loud and clear, letting Russia anticipate every move, every launch date, crippling advances before they began. Feel the frustration, the bitter sting of betrayal as units marched into traps, explosions echoing like thunderclaps in the void. Ukraine etched this into memory, now in 2025, cautiously unveiling the Sapsan with controlled leaks, feeding just enough to the public yet not to the foe. Zelensky teased further, there are many cases when our enemy believes a strike was carried out with a Neptune, and let them continue thinking that.
Smart play, isn't it?
By letting Russia assume familiar threats caused recent devastation, Ukraine dodges deeper probes into their arsenal. No clues on targets either. Fewer hints mean stretched defenses can't cover every hideout.
Could this deception humiliate Russia's overconfident generals, their radars blind to hidden horrors?
This tactic sparks possibilities for triumph, or as Euromonitor press calls it, exploiting the fog to weaken responses.
Ukraine's Ministry of Finance confirms Russia's staggering losses, 1,253 anti-aircraft warfare units vaporized since Putin invaded.
Gaping holes in those defenses now beckon the Sapsan, missiles whistling through hypersonic winds, searing heat on metal skins as they plunge.
Has Ukraine already wielded this weapon, masking its power in Neptune's shadow? Or is Zelensky crafting illusions, siphoning Russia's strength elsewhere? Picture the exhilaration or terror of punches landing unseen, foes reeling in disbelief.
But wait, ambiguity clouds everything. Zelensky's words could be bold truth or calculated trickery.
Is the Sapsan unleashing doom right now, burying Russian secrets under rubble? The story twists into fury and dread, alliances cracking as one nation leaps ahead. What's next in this high-stakes gambit? Can Russia escape the veil, or is it already trapped?
Previously, as reported by Euromonitor Press, Ukraine expertly maneuvers through the chaos of war to weaken Russia's defenses against the imposing Sapsan missile. The Ministry of Finance highlights Russia's staggering loss of 1,253 anti-aircraft units since Putin's invasion, painting a grim picture of depleted resources.
Can you imagine the thunderous roar of a massive explosion, shaking the very ground beneath your feet? That heart-pounding boom, the acrid stench of scorched earth filling the air, and the tactile jolt of debris raining down like a furious storm, this could be the terror Russia now faces from Ukraine's armored fist. Yet here lies the twisted riddle: has Ukraine truly unleashed its Sapsan, or is this just a masterful bluff in a high-stakes game of deception? Picture the Dub gnawing at Putin's inner circle, their defenses stretched thin like brittle wire, ready to snap under the weight of uncertainty. Russian invaders have suffered deeply, their arsenal of anti-aircraft units decimated to a shocking 1,253 since the brutal invasion began in 2022. This gaping shortfall whispers of vulnerability, equipment too scarce to effectively challenge the Sapsan. Ukraine has carved brutal gaps into those defenses, holes begging to be exploited with this deadly new toy. The iron will of Ukraine's leaders now drives them to strike through those breaches, wielding the Sapsan like a hidden dagger in the night. But Zelensky's cryptic words stir a whirlwind of skepticism. Is the president laying bare the truth of Ukraine's missile deployment? Or does his vagueness mask a cunning ploy to unnerve the enemy? That haunting question lingers, doesn't it?
The Warzone, or TWZ, delves into this murky fog, suggesting Zelensky might be orchestrating a grand illusion to convince Russia that Ukrainian ballistic missiles pose an fresh, inescapable menace straight into Putin's sprawling homeland.
Consider the audacious possibility: the Sapsan hasn't soared into real combat yet. TWZ notes Zelensky basking in Russia's potential misjudgment, gleefully letting them attribute strikes to familiar Neptune missiles instead. So far, no undeniable remnants, wreckage strewn across Russian soil, have surfaced to confirm the Sapsan's bloody debut. Though Russia's Ministry of Defense boasts of thwarting Ukrainian ballistic menaces over Crimea in May 2023, the timeline adds a thrilling layer of intrigue.
Ukraine lacked access to the Sapsan back then, at least as far as the world knows.
Novaya Gazeta echoes Russia's narrative, claiming the intercepted projectiles were two Rim-2 ballistic missiles, a tantalizing tidbit we'll unpack soon.
Yet Ukraine offers no endorsement of these claims, no fiery admission to seal the tale. This standoff resembles dueling fables, where truth becomes a slippery prize, and belief hangs on a thread.
Who do you trust in this web of whispers? Nonetheless, the deliberate haze of confusion serves Zelensky's strategy, crafting an aura of mystery that Ukraine craves. Even if the Sapsan remains dormant, the mere suggestion of its flight might plant seeds of paranoia in Russian minds. Putin's troops, seasoned by dread, could conjure visions of prime targets Ukraine might obliterate should the missile awaken.
Imagine the silent redeployment of air defenses, yanked from vulnerable spots to shield imagined cries, only to leave true prizes exposed.
The taste of fear, bitter on Russia's tongue, could shift battles in Ukraine's favor. But as the veil lifts on potent hints, a deeper unease grips. Will this deception unravel under scrutiny, or herald a cascade of strikes Russia can't foresee? Hold your breath, for the next revelation spirals into the missile's shadowed past. Certainly.
Here's the fully rewritten, engaging storytelling version in English, using vivid imagery and a compelling narrative style. As requested, in the shadows of ongoing conflict, a new force is quietly emerging. Imagine the roar of a missile breaking the silence, shredding through the sky with deadly precision.
This isn't just speculation, it's a game changer for a country fighting for its survival. What if I told you that Ukraine has developed a ballistic missile so formidable, it could reshape the battlefield entirely? That this weapon, shrouded in secrecy, may already be striking behind the scenes?
The story takes a shocking turn when the leader hints that this formidable missile, called the Sapsan, is already in action.
Yet, the truth remains cloaked in silence, fueling fears and suspicions alike.
Recall the tense moments when rumors swirled in August 2022, whispers of a Ukrainian missile attacking a Russian airbase, claiming the destruction of 10 aircraft in a single strike. An extraordinary feat, especially if achieved with a ballistic missile, something rugged, explosive, and devastating.
But were those rumors real? Or was Ukraine intentionally playing a dangerous game of shadows? Here's the twist: President Zelensky hinted that Ukraine has not only perfected the Sapsan but may already be deploying it. The implications are staggering.
In mid-2025, amid a wave of silence, Ukraine revealed what many had suspected for years. Officially, they announced the existence of the Sapsan, a missile cloaked in secrecy until that moment.
When it surfaced, details about its power and purpose immediately caught attention.
A warhead weighing 480 kilograms, over 1,000 pounds, packed with enough destructive force to obliterate key targets. It's among Ukraine's most potent weapons, yet not the heaviest. For comparison, their Flamingo drone cruise missile hybrid carries a warhead over twice that size. Still, size isn't everything. The Sapsan's real strength lies in its precision and reach. And that reach is no small feat officially. The missile travels up to 300 kilometers, about 186 miles. But rumors whisper of an extension, possibly doubling to 500 kilometers, more than 300 miles.
That's a significant strike range, enough to target critical Russian military installations, meddling deep into enemy territory.
Yet, it falls short of the Flamingo's astounding 3,000-kilometer reach.
The question echoes loud: why develop a missile with a limited range? What strategic purpose does it serve?
Wall Street analysts and military experts alike speculate perhaps it's a safer, more controlled way to strike multiple targets without risking full-scale escalation.
Or maybe, just maybe, Ukraine has other plans. It's a calculated move, designed to keep the adversaries guessing.
Vladimir Putin's closest confidants might breathe easier now, at least, for the moment. The Sapsan's limited range means hitting distant Moscow remains a distant dream, at least until further upgrades.
But beneath this calm surface lies a brewing storm. As the story unfolds, doubts persist. Does Ukraine truly have this missile in active combat? Zelensky's words? Or a clever facade? Some analysts suggest the Ukrainian leader is deliberately sowing confusion, playing a strategic game of misdirection.
Perhaps the Sapsan never fired a single shot yet. Maybe all those claims are just smokescreens to make Russia believe it's under threat, while Ukraine quietly matures its arsenal.
The game of secrets deepens.
Russian officials claim to have shot down what they say were Ukrainian ballistic missiles over Crimea, yet doubts linger.
Could those intercepted weapons be other projectiles, or mere decoys? The truth blurs in the fog of war. Ukraine's silence fuels the mystery.
Every hint, every slip of the tongue by Zelensky, only intensifies the speculation.
But imagine, if Ukraine's claims are true, and the Sapsan is already striking Russian targets unnoticed, what then? A silent storm of precision hits that Russia can't defend against? America's top military experts warn that such a missile could bypass current defenses, exploiting vulnerabilities and striking undetected. The atmosphere thickens with anticipation. So, what really lies behind Ukraine's clandestine development? Is this the dawn of a new era where precision ballistic weapons shift the balance of power? Or just a clever bluff, waiting to explode in unforeseen ways? One thing is clear, the battlefield has changed forever. Ukraine's secret weapon isn't just a missile, it's a strategic revolution in how war is fought. Stay tuned. The true story is only beginning to surface, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Ukraine's Sapsan redefine victory? Or will Russia find a way to counter this hidden threat? The world watches, breath held. As history prepares to be rewritten. Ukraine's secret weapon changes everything in this brutal war. While Russia bleeds soldiers and tanks in endless attrition, their ballistic missile edge loomed large. Ukraine had none until now.
Enter the Sapsan, unleashed not in whispers, but in thunderous reality.
President Zelensky admits it's flying, striking deep into Russia. Is this the storm that crushes Putin's defenses? A weapon faster than sound, deadlier than dreams. The fog of war hides its secrets, forcing Russia to guess. Breaches in their air shields, rumors of failed intercepts Ukraine punishes with shadows. But doubt lingers, is this truth or illusion? Either way, Ukraine triumphs, as Sapsan rains chaos. We'll wrap up the earlier part. Ukrainians wonder why pursue a ballistic missile when Flamingo drones strike farther with heavier payloads. Range up to 3,000 kilometers melts Moscow's worries, keeping the capital safe for now. Yet, at 300 kilometers extendable to 500 Sapsan taunts from just out of reach. Now, ponder this shocking twist. What if Russia's vaunted ballistic beasts crumble before Ukraine's newborn storm? What truly sets Sapsan apart for Ukraine's arsenal? It seems redundant against Flamingo's might. Why chase a ballistic path when cruise options penetrate deeper? We'll uncover that later, but Sapsan's ace shines bright, blistering speed. United 24 reports it surges past 5,000 km per hour, over 3,100 miles. Mach 4 velocity shatters sound barriers, unmatched in Ukraine's tools. Flamingo crawls at less than a fifth of that pace, defense experts note. Imagine radars blaring alerts. Sirens wailing in the cold night, as Sapsan streaks invisible through the sky. No fuel waste clinging to the ground, just hypersonic death racing downward. When defenses scramble, their shouts fading in the roar, interception chances plummet. Equal radars detecting both? Speed humbles Flamingo, guaranteeing Sapsan's explosive kiss upon targets. That's ballistic power, not just hitting harder, but escaping unharmed. Flights within atmosphere's slow cruise types, altitude-boosting ballistics devours distance. This revelation brings us back to Sapsan's flight importance. First, it shatters Russia's missile dominance since Putin's march.
A Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation brief contrasts them starkly. Speedicide cruise missiles hug Earth's atmosphere, skimming landscapes with buzzing hums, while ballistics arc high, plunging like eagle talons.
How does that feel to the Kremlin? The buzz of incoming doom, Earth trembling under impact, Russia's advantage erodes, as Ukraine echoes past humiliations with precision. Imagine soldiers' boots gripping soil, hearts pounding, at Putin's command.
This weapon twists the tide, no longer attrition's slave.
Conflict sharpens, accusations fly like shrapnel, Zelensky's words ablate through misinformation. Smell the gunpowder in the air, taste victory's dust, Ukraine outsmarts, Russia scrambles.
But wait, what hidden strength does Sapsan hide beyond speed?
Shocking revelations lurk in its shadowy deployments, ready to expose Russia's crumbling walls.
The war has entered a new, dangerous phase, one where the balance of power could shift overnight. For decades, Russia was known for its brutal, relentless warfare, sacrificing countless soldiers and equipment to crush its enemies. Yet, beneath this chaos lies a hidden advantage: technological mastery in ballistic missiles. It's a secret weapon Ukraine only recently revealed to the world, a missile capable of turning the tide. Are they really using it? Or is it a clever deception designed to keep Russia guessing? Imagine the deafening silence before a missile strike, then, the thunderous roar as the Sapsan takes flight. Its weight alone, nearly 1,058 pounds of devastating warhead, hints at its destructive potential.
This isn't just a missile, it's a game-changer.
With a range potentially stretching from 300 to 500 miles, it can strike deep behind enemy lines without warning.
The question remains, has Ukraine already unleashed this new terror? Or is Zelensky simply stirring the pot, keeping Russia and the world in the dark?
In the shadows of this uncertainty, the truth becomes a weapon itself. Recent claims suggest Ukraine might have used other ballistic weapons, like the Rim-2, to threaten Russian targets, but official confirmation is scarce.
Russia's military claims of shooting down missiles over Crimea add another layer of mystery. Could these be remnants of the Sapsan's power, or just rumors? Zelensky's subtle hints suggest deception, faking the use of a familiar missile while secretly deploying something far deadlier. Is the Sapsan real? Or is it a smokescreen? A strategy to lure Russia into vulnerabilities? If Ukraine's claims hold true, the implications are staggering. The Sapsan's rapid arching trajectory makes it nearly impossible to intercept once it reaches its terminal phase. Its speed, combined with a warhead capable of piercing hardened targets, means it could devastate Russian defenses from a distance without warning. Meanwhile, Russia remains vulnerable, its defenses stretched thin and unprepared. Imagine the roar of that missile rushing through the atmosphere, a searing flash of light crossing the horizon, an unstoppable force. But with every revelation comes a twist. Was this missile ever used? Or is Ukraine's announcement a bluff designed to keep Russia on edge? Without concrete evidence, the truth remains concealed, cloaked in strategic ambiguity. Yet, the stakes are clear: whoever controls the Sapsan controls the battlefield. The war's future could hinge on this silent, soaring menace. Will it be Ukraine's secret weapon, or just a ghost in the sky? As the world holds its breath, one thing is certain: battlefields are shifting, and silence can be deadlier than war itself. The next move belongs to those who master the art of deception, technology, and surprise. Because in the chaos of modern conflict, whoever unleashes the next surprise wins. The question is, are we witnessing the dawn of a new era of missile warfare, or just the hope that secrets can still save a nation? Imagine this shocking reality: Ukraine's new ballistic missile, the Sapsan, outpaces Russia's defenses with blinding speed. How will Putin react as his empire crumbles under unexpected Ukrainian strikes? The tension builds, with echoes of explosions shaking the ground and the acrid scent of burnt fuel lingering in the air. In the previous segment, we explored Russia's advantages with ballistic missiles and Ukraine's shift to matching that power through deception and the Sapsan. Now, delve deeper into why this weapon's velocity turns the tide, creating chaos Russia can't contain. Can Ukraine truly exploit this fog of war without Russia countering? Feel the earth tremble as the missile dives, its high explosive warhead gleaming, ready to pierce defenses like a relentless force. The Sapsan's fury stems from its breakneck speed. This velocity renders interception nearly impossible in its final moments. It plunges toward targets, embodying a cruel twist against Russia's solid barriers. Imagine the roar of descent, the ground cracking under impact, as if the Earth itself rejects the invader. Twisting the narrative further, this flight path allows for vicious penetration into fortified sites. As the war zone, or TWZ, details, such missiles with unitary warheads burrow deeper, devastating Ukraine's intended goals. Could this be the humiliation Putin fears most, his structures shattering while Ukraine whispers strategic secrets? Up to this point, Ukraine was shackled to sluggish drones and budding cruise missiles. These domestic creations struck hard, yet lacked the thunderous edge. Many assaults zeroed in on Russia's oil refineries, targeting pipelines that fueled the war machine. Picture the fiery blooms across storage tanks, the smoky haze choking the horizon, a viscous liquid oozing from ruptured veins. What unexpected revelation lurks as Ukraine unveils its true might? The scent of petroleum lingers, a tactile reminder of economic pain inflicted with precision. Russia mastered these benefits with ruthless efficiency. Their attacks on Ukraine blended cruise and ballistic threats. This dual force bewildered defenses, a symphony of devastation. How does Ukraine turn this against them, flipping the script in a humiliating reversal? Now, Ukraine mirrors this tactic, potentially amplifying nightmare scenarios. Sense the chill of dread as combined assaults loom, waves crashing unseen. The Ukrainian strategy evolves, intelligence guiding each brutal evolution. Yet, an unforeseen spin awaits. Will Russia seize back control, or is this twist too lethal to bear? Ballistic missiles offer Russia superior might, yet Ukraine claims parity. They tweak their arsenal, like upgrades to Iskander models. Reports from Rusi on November 18 hint at software enhancements. These allow sharper maneuvers near impact, evading defenses with cunning. What if Ukraine outwits them first, exposing Russia's vulnerabilities in a moment of exposed weakness? The strain builds, air defenses straining under imagined threats, a ground-shaking anticipation hanging heavy. Ukraine seizes this opportunity at the ideal juncture. As the Center for Strategic and International Studies, or CSIS, notes, long-range strikes cripple Russia's economy as sanctions bite. Prove your prowess, Ukraine, in this escalating conflict. Intelligence drives success, but will Russia adapt, averting a catastrophic downfall? The air hums with potential, a silent threat poised to erupt, twisting fates in unseen ways. Feel the pulse of war's rhythm, relentless and unforgiving. Ukraine is rapidly transforming its military capabilities, aiming to strike at the heart of its adversary. While many know of its use of drones and cruise missiles, recent developments point toward a new, terrifying echelon of power, ballistic missiles. These weapons could change the game, pushing the conflict into uncharted territory. But what exactly has Ukraine achieved, and how might this reshape the battlefield? Imagine the silence before a storm, an ominous stillness broken suddenly by the roar of a missile streaking through the sky. This is no ordinary weapon. Kiev has just unveiled a missile called Sapsan, and it's a game-changer. Recently, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky confirmed that the Sapsan has taken flight. The world is now watching as Ukraine quietly shifts into a new dimension of warfare, one where strike ranges, destructive power, and strategic secrecy are all evolving rapidly. In a startling revelation, Zelensky hinted that Ukraine is already using the Sapsan weapon in combat. He casually mentioned it alongside other long-range drones and missiles, almost as if describing a new routine. His words sparked shock. Nobody anticipated that Ukraine had completed this development. Yet, he deliberately revealed little, emphasizing the importance of secrecy. We don't want the enemy to know all the details, he explained carefully. This one slip of the tongue hints at a new era where Ukraine's advanced missile could strike deep into Russian territory, inflicting damage and chaos without warning. The question remains, are they actually using it now? Or is this a strategic bluff? Let's consider the possibilities. Ukraine's recent actions suggest they're carefully crafting a narrative. No wreckage from missile strikes has yet been confirmed in Russia, but the Russian military claims to have intercepted some. The ambiguity is part of the strategy. By cultivating confusion, Ukraine keeps Moscow guessing.
If the Sapsan hasn't been used yet, just the threat alone forces Russia to divert defenses and resources. If it is operational, then the game is truly changing, with Ukraine gaining a lethal edge, one that Russia cannot easily counter. But what makes the Sapsan so formidable? Historically, Ukraine's missile arsenal has been limited, mostly Soviet-era short-range projectiles and some American-supplied long-range missiles. Now, the Sapsan stands apart as a new breed. With a payload of nearly 480 kilograms, its warhead packs a punch comparable to some of Ukraine's most potent weapons. Its range, officially 300 kilometers, could stretch further to around 500 kilometers, enough to reach key Russian targets without risking direct retaliation. Notably, it cannot yet threaten the heart of Moscow, but that may not matter. Its very presence strikes fear into Russian defenses. Imagine the moment, the hum of the missile's launch, the roar as it speeds through the sky, the tense silence as it approaches its target. Ukrainian forces could deliver precise, devastating strikes on vital infrastructure, oil refineries, communication hubs, military bases, causing chaos and halting Russia's supply lines for months. This is precisely why Ukraine's strategic push into ballistic missile technology is so alarming for Moscow. The Sapsan's potential to disrupt Russia's economy and military logistics is enormous, especially since Ukraine's recent strikes on oil infrastructure have already caused significant damage. So, what's next? With the Sapsan now part of Ukraine's arsenal, the balance of power shifts once again. Will Russia develop new defenses to counter this threat? Or will Ukraine exploit its secrecy and surprise to strike deeper, more effectively? As Ukrainian forces prepare, the world holds its breath. One thing is clear, this is more than a new missile, it's a symbol of Ukraine's resilience and an ominous sign of what's to come. The storm is gathering, and the battlefield will never be the same. In the shadow of Russia's relentless war machine, where countless lives and machines crumble under attrition, Ukraine has finally unveiled a weapon that shifts the balance. The Sapsan ballistic missile has leaped from dreams to deadly reality, leaving Russian targets exposed to hellfire. But as Zelensky confirms its launch, and the fog of secrecy thickens, one question haunts the battlefield: is Ukraine's Sapsan a game-changer or a masterful bluff to lure Russia into vulnerability? Ukraine's arsenal pulses with foreign-supplied standoff missiles, those American ATACMS, bristling with potential yet bound by chains. The war zone reveals a stark truth: these weapons carry restrictions that limit strikes deep into Russia. Can you imagine the frustration? The cold grip of bureaucracy strangling lightning-fast warfare. In a surprising twist, these limitations escalated into outright bans early in 2025. The Wall Street Journal exposed the chaos. The US quietly erected a new approval gauntlet for Ukraine's ATACMS. Each strike demanded permission, with Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth holding the key. This bottleneck shadowed Ukraine's blows against Russia. It created a dam of unpredictability, where political winds in Washington could halt the thunder. The ripples? A shadow ban that chilled Ukrainian attacks on Russian soil. The Trump administration lifted it somewhat, granting nods for strikes again. Yet, Ukraine rides a roller coaster with the US. Reliance on America breeds risk. Hearts pound as partnerships teeter. Ukraine craves independence from this web of dependency. And now, the Sapsan emerges like a phoenix, a homegrown savior in the flames of uncertainty. If the geopolitical winds turn hostile, if the US slams the door on its missiles anew, Putin's refineries won't hide. The Sapsan, 480 kilograms warhead heavy with promise. 300 kilometers range slicing through defenses, it's primed to ignite Russia's heartlands. Zelensky's words echo, whispers of Sapsan strikes mixing with Neptune hits. Is it truth or theater? The ambiguity stings like salt in a wound, forcing Russia to second-guess every explosion. Picture the chill of anticipation, air defenses scrambling futilely. Smells of scorched earth and the metallic tang of metal debris. Tactile jolts of launches shaking the ground. Ukraine triumphs through silence and deception, letting Russia chase phantoms. But the Sapsan's roar joins other horrors for Putin. Ukraine's ingenuity surges beyond missiles, brewing ground robots that shatter Russian armor.
In our next tale, we'll unearth that world-first kill, a robotic ambush that humiliates tanks and turns steel into scrap. Are these machines the future of war, or just the beginning of Ukraine's unyielding storm? Ukraine isn't stopping with just new ballistic missiles.
The country has also created ground robots that can destroy Russian tanks. These cutting-edge machines are changing the battlefield, proving Ukraine's technological prowess and strategic innovation. One recent breakthrough saw a robot achieve a first-ever frontline kill, an event that could shift the entire war dynamic. Imagine the deafening roar of engines, the weight of metal crunching underfoot, and nerves on edge as these machines hunt down targets with precision previously thought impossible.
Are these machines the future of warfare? How much more lethal will Ukraine become?
The stakes are higher than ever, an unseen war is unfolding, and the outcome relies on who masterfully controls the next wave of technology.
As Ukraine pushes forward, one question remains: could these robotic warriors turn the tide completely? The answer might be more shocking than anyone expects.
If Ukraine truly has the Sapsan missile operational, the consequences could be staggering. Imagine a stealthy missile raining down on Russian targets, hitting with precision while Russia remains clueless.
But what if it's all a dangerous illusion? Could Ukraine be bluffing, making Russia believe they've crossed a new frontier while holding a card that's yet to be played? The key question looms: what is the Sapsan truly capable of?
Early claims suggested a missile with a range of around 300 kilometers, possibly extending to 500. Its warhead packs a punch, weighing nearly 480 kilograms, more than most of Ukraine's weapons, yet still short of the devastating power of their massive cruise missiles. This missile's silent, deadly reach could threaten Russia's most critical installations, yet its exact capabilities remain shrouded in mystery. Recent reports indicate that Ukraine might have started deploying the Sapsan, raining destruction on Russian targets without Moscow even realizing it.
Meanwhile, Russia's defenses are stretched thin. Rumors swirl of successful interceptions of Ukrainian long-range missiles, but the truth is murky. Did Russia's drone strikes over Crimea really succeed, or is this just propaganda? The whispers about intercepted missiles, like the Rim-2, are tangled in uncertainties.
Some claim that Ukraine's previous missile program evolved into the Rim-2, designed to reach further distances, possibly up to 1,864 miles, but many questions remain unanswered.
And now, Ukraine's secret weapon, Sapsan, has entered the arena. Officially announced only recently. It's described as a missile with a warhead large enough to devastate high-value targets. The noise of its launch, the sharp crack of the explosion, the tense silence afterward, these are the sounds you imagine when chaos erupts. Will the Sapsan turn the tide in this conflict or remain a shadow of what it promises to be?
The stakes are higher than ever, and every new piece of information could tip the balance.
Could Ukraine's bold move be a bluff? Or is this the beginning of a new chapter, one where silent killers fly beneath Russia's radar?
The truth may be hidden behind layers of deception, but one thing's certain: the storm that's coming may change everything we thought we knew.
Recent reports suggest that Ukraine might be silently unleashing its most advanced ballistic missile, the Sapsan, onto Russian targets. If true, this could revolutionize the battlefield, yet there's an eerie silence surrounding its actual use. Could Ukraine be pretending to fire it? Or is this weapon already in play, changing everything we thought we knew about the conflict? For months, Ukraine's leaders have hinted at new capabilities, but never confirmed them outright. Now, with their president openly mentioning the Sapsan's deployment, the stakes are higher than ever. Still, he's carefully avoiding details, adding an element of deception that leaves Russia guessing. Are they simply bluffing? Or is the missile already striking deep into Russian territory?
The silence is deafening, and the possibilities are staggering.
What is certain is that Ukraine's recent moves are ingeniously cloaked in secrecy. The Sapsan's power lies not just in its destructive potential but in the fog of ambiguity Ukraine is creating.
This carefully crafted deception prevents Russia's defenses from properly preparing. Think about it: if Russia believes multiple different missiles are responsible for strikes, it cannot allocate its scattered defenses efficiently. This confusion grants Ukraine the upper hand, turning the battlefield into a game of shadows and misdirection.
This game of perception has a sinister edge.
Ukraine's military strategy revolves around deception. By letting Russia believe it's using a familiar missile like Neptune in various strikes, Ukraine spreads confusion.
Meanwhile, the real threat, the Sapsan, hidden behind the curtains of secrecy, could be already devastating Russian positions. Imagine the shock if, suddenly, Russian defenses are overwhelmed by an unknown missile, striking with precision and speed. How long can Russia sustain this uncertainty before the truth is forcefully revealed? Compounding this mystery are reports supposedly confirming the Sapsan's existence, yet lacking any concrete evidence of its recent use. The official story is that Ukraine has the missile, but there's no indisputable wreckage or footage to prove it. Why? Because Ukraine might be deliberately sharing false information, or perhaps, the missile is too new or too secret to be tracked. Only fragments of rumors remain, whispers about what this missile could do, and whether it's already transformed the war. But what if the truth is even more shocking? Could Ukraine be holding back a weapon that changes the entire game? The Sapsan is said to carry a warhead weighing nearly half a ton, about 480 kilograms. That's enough to obliterate military bases, logistics hubs, and command centers. Its range could be up to 500 kilometers, enough to strike strategic targets well behind enemy lines. And yet, despite its apparent power, it's unlikely to reach Moscow anytime soon. But what if the true purpose isn't just striking Russia? What if it's a psychological weapon, meant to keep Russian forces guessing, paralyzed by fear of an unseen hand? The key lies in uncertainty. Ukraine's measures around the Sapsan seem designed to foster doubt in Russian minds. If they think the missile is already operational, they might divert critical defenses in the wrong directions. And if Ukraine is merely bluffing, the very act of deception sows chaos and delays Russian retaliation. Either way, the implications are terrifying. This isn't just about missile technology, it's about wielding the art of war itself, fueling paranoia, and shifting the battlefield into a realm of shadows. And so, we're left with a haunting question: is Ukraine secretly unleashing its most powerful missile, or is it masterfully convincing Russia that it is? The truth is concealed behind layers of deception, waiting for the right moment to explode into our awareness. As the world holds its breath, one thing remains clear: whoever controls the narrative, controls the battlefield. Will the shroud of secrecy hold firm, or will the thunder of the Sapsan finally break through the fog?